Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for tuning in to what's going to be a run through of my everyday go-to full coverage but still natural looking finish face routine. Originally, like in my head, this was mostly about the foundation, powder, concealer combo that I use, but in reality, this has been my go-to full face, like from the eyes, lips, bronzer, blush, that kind of stuff. Really been my go-to look as of late for like the past few months, and so we're doing it today. The look itself is pretty simple, requires pretty minimal products, doesn't take a whole lot of time. I'm actually on my way out the door right now. It's 8:45 something in the morning right now, and so I have done this before my work day. It's hopefully super recreatable for you guys if you want to try this on your own, and yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. So first, although not technically part of like the makeup routine, before I apply any makeup I have to make sure my skin's really moisturized, because as someone with combo skin, especially in the oilier parts of my face, if I don't have kind of a barrier to help my skin or keep my skin from producing excess oil, it will oxidize my foundation. Never a good thing, so I just make sure I have a nice even barrier of moisture, and I particularly, because I have combo skin, look for one that doesn't make the oily parts of my skin too greasy and it's still moisturizing enough for the dry parts of my skin. So I'm currently using No. 7's Early Defense Day Cream, and I love to have moisturizer with SPF, so this is an SPF of 30. Priming with moisturizer is actually also awesome if you have acne prone skin, which might surprise people who are used to like drying their skin out to get rid of their acne, but when your acne is in or your blemishes are in that kind of crusty healing phase, adding moisturizer over top will keep your foundation from clinging onto those dry patches around it and actually emphasizing them even more. Now onto foundation, and I've really been in love with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. Mine is in the shade Buff Bisque. I love it because it gives a really natural finish, but it's buildable almost to full coverage, but it still gives you that second skin kind of glow from within sort of look. And the brush I'm using to apply this is a Dailybaileyb Tools 957. This one in particular though is from the I Am First collection, and so they come in this little package, and there's quite a few of them in here. But they all have like an affirmation on them. So this one says, I am beautiful. There's one that says, I mean, there are all sorts of them, like I am determined. I don't know, it was just kind of like a cool, I am able. They sent these to me, but when I first learned about them and they asked me if they could send them to me, I was like, yeah, it seems like a cool idea to kind of have your daily affirmation in something that I personally do every day. It's just kind of helpful to get ready for your day with that kind of positivity. You know, it's really easy to get down on stuff, and so this is a great way to start your morning off right. Plus, Dailybaileyb Tools makes awesome brushes. I've talked about them quite a bit here on the channel, and just the quality is always consistent and always great. So at this point, it is not totally full coverage, but that's where the concealer comes in. I am in love with the Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer. It took me forever to try this, but I'm finally on the bandwagon. Really, really love it, and mine is in the shade Light Neutral. So I take the massive doe foot applicator and I put a dot in my under eye, each under eye, and then I will spread the rest kind of out if I have any blemishes, on my chin, down the bridge of my nose, depending on how much time I have, how much blending I actually want to do. I don't always do like the highlight down the nose, the chin, or things like that. It just depends on what kind of brush I'm in, but always, always, always I put it in my under eye area. And even though it might take a little longer, I love to blend my concealer in with my fingers, just because I find that the natural heat of my hands helps it blend that much better in with my skin. Once the concealer is applied, the coverage starts to look much more full, and then I go in with a setting powder. This is NYX's HD finishing powder in the shade Banana, so it has a hint of yellow undertone, and I take a powder brush and I pat that in my under eye area, as well as any other places. Like if it's a really hot day, I will also go down the center of my face, because like I said, I have combo skin, and so if I think I'm going to produce any excess oil that day, this will just help kind of wick away the excess oil and keep my makeup in place all day. So that is the base. I'm just going to put on some brows now. On days when I'm going relatively light or natural looking with the makeup, I just go with the tinted brow gel. This one's from CoverGirl, and it's the Easy Breezy Brow Shape and Define, and mine is in the shade Soft Brown. Then if I'm not wearing any eyeshadow, I will throw on some mascara as well. This is new from Essence, or new to me anyway. I picked it up from Ulta recently, and it's the False Lashes Mascara. Extreme Volume and Curl. Still testing this out. Haven't formed an opinion yet, but I don't know. Just from a pure before and after perspective, not really wear time, I kind of dig it. Now let's give this face some shape. I'm using the Rimmel Kate Sculpting Palette. This is in the shade Coral Glow, and my main squeeze in this palette, although I do love the highlighter, my main squeeze is the bronzing powder and blush for my skin tone, the ultimate and natural looking contour and blush. And then I'll show you what I like to do for highlight. So the bronzer I run into the contours of my cheeks pretty broadly. I'm not really contouring, it's just an overall bronzing in that area. And then I also put it in and around the temple areas, right up into the hairline, and then a little bit on the jawline and down onto the neck. Then using that same brush, which is actually the Dailybaileyb 962, and it says, "I am determined." Like I said, I love the affirmation here. I will go into the blush shade in this palette and apply that to the apples of my cheeks and work it back. Right back into the hairline. And if I ever find it's a bit much, I will just go back in with my foundation brush using whatever is left on there. Just pat it out. Better. Now onto the highlight. I've been really into this process for the past few weeks, but the highlight itself will change. There are just so many out there to love that I change it up probably once a week, but I'm currently loving the Makeup Forever Pro Light Fusion. This is the golden highlighter. And so what I'll first do is take a highlight brush. This one is from Luxie. It's the 522 tapered highlighter, and I'll apply that to the tops of my cheekbones and up into my temple, as well as down the bridge of my nose, tip of my nose, Cupid's bow, the usual places. So that is what I recommend if you want a natural looking highlight, but I don't want that. So I go in with the e.l.f. Illuminating Mist and Set, which is actually good even if you don't want an intense highlight just to set your face, but still keep your skin looking radiant and dewy. I just give my skin a couple spritzes of this stuff and then let it dry a smidge. Once that's slightly dry, I will go back into this highlighter, same brush, and do it all over again. Reapply that highlight, and you'd be surprised at how natural it still remains, but gives you just that extra ½ inch of glow, if you know what I mean. Then last are the lips, and some days I will put on a bold lip to make it look like I tried harder, quite frankly, but on days when I just don't want to fuss with it, I will put on a natural lip. Today, most of my natural lips are in my purse because that's just, they're convenient and on the go. So today, in the interim, I am going to throw on a lip liner. This one's from Makeup Forever. It's the Aqua Lip in the shade 2C, and I could leave that as is, but I could never leave well enough alone, so I'm going in with a little bit of shine. Literally, this is from Maybelline, called Shine Shot for a glossy shine, and I'm just putting a little bit of that all over my lips. Careful with this, a little bit goes a long way. And that is it for my go-to everyday, full coverage but still natural finish looking foundation. Really the full face, because I don't change the bronzer blush combo up that much at all. And like I said, the lip stays the same, not necessarily the products, but the general appearance. So this is kind of it for me, especially as of late. I'd love to hear if you have any questions. Definitely ask them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what your go-to products on a daily basis are. Let me know those as well. Besides that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.